So it is already February of 2025, and this year I want to try and do a video every single month where I rank every movie that I watched in that month that's a new 2025 release. And today we're going to go over all 11 new releases that I watched from 2025 in the month of January. So let's get started. What is up, everyone? I'm Mike, and today, like I said, we're going to be going through all 11 movies that I watched from 2025 in the month of January. Now, this is not every movie that came out because if I did, then it would be way too many to count. I know there is a lot of movies that ended up dropping on streaming, but most of these I ended up seeing in the theater. A couple of them were streaming releases that were bigger, got more buzz that I was wanted to check out, and yeah, honestly, I think without further ado, let's get into my number 11. And my number 11, while it didn't disappoint me by any means, because I didn't even know this movie existed until the day that it came out, Star Trek Section 31. This was a train wreck. I wouldn't call myself like a huge Star Trek fan, even though I really enjoy what I've seen from that universe. I wouldn't call myself like an outright diehard fan. I would call myself a fan for sure because I do really enjoy what I've seen, like I said. But this was a movie that I believe was a spin-off movie from Star Trek Discovery, which is one of the TV shows on Paramount Plus, and I have seen a little bit of it, and I don't know exactly where this ends up in like the timeline and whatnot. But this was not a good show in the or not a good movie in the slightest, not show. Yeah, so this one, basically, you have one of the characters from Discovery, and they just basically like extended a bad episode of that show and turned it into a film. And my God, this was awful. This was terrible. It was edited almost like an episode of The Office. I saw one of my friends say that, and it just isn't what Star Trek is. This is like Borderlands for Star Trek, and man, what a strange film to come out that like it had no marketing until like the week that it came out. I didn't even know it existed until the day it came out, and I waited to watch it because I heard it was terrible, and then I figured I would watch it just to see how bad it was. And yeah, by quite a bit, my number 11 is Star Trek Section 31. My number 10 is going to be a little Netflix action movie starring Jamie Foxx and Cameron Diaz, who came out of retirement, I believe, for this movie, which had me kind of interested for that reason. It is called Back in Action. This wasn't very good at all. Just kind of one of these generic Netflix action movies that they come out with like a zillion times a year. Nothing special at all, except you have two pretty charming lead performances. Nothing too special, nothing too noteworthy. Let's move on. Number 9 is a little bit of a disappointment, even though I kind of went in with just cautious expectations. It's going to be Flight Risk, directed by Mel Gibson and starring Mark Wahlberg, Topher Grace, and what is her name? Michelle Dockery. So this is one that looked kind of goofy from the trailer. I'm not gonna lie. It looked kind of fun. Like Mel Gibson. He's a great director. It's just really weird that of all movies he directed this after directing Hacksaw Ridge, Apocalypto, Braveheart, like a ton of great movies, and then he decides to do this. I think it was probably just for a paycheck. I had fun with the lead performances. Like, Topher Grace wasn't necessarily good, but I had fun with his character. I thought he was horribly miscast, but I thought it was kind of funny. Michelle Dockery was decent, and Mark Wahlberg, for what he was given, was pretty good, but he definitely, while being the most entertaining part, was a very distracting piece of the movie because on set, he had shaved his head for the movie, and it doesn't look right at all. It looks fake somehow, even though he actually shaved it. But man, it wasn't a good movie in the slightest. And not to mention as well, the CGI looks terrible in this film. There's like a couple scenes where it's like outside of the plane that they're in, and it just looks like dog shit. So yeah, my number 9 is Mel Gibson's Flight Risk. My number 8 is going to be a new film on Prime Video, directed by Nicholas Stoller, who did Forgetting Sarah Marshall, which is one of my favorite comedies of all time, and stars Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon. And it's called You're Cordially Invited. Now, this one sparked my interest because I really like Nicholas Stoller, whatever it is, and Will Ferrell, Reese Witherspoon. They're great actors. I love them, and I didn't dislike this film per se. I just didn't find it super funny. It's a rom com of sorts, and I just didn't really dig it. Honestly, it was just kind of another mediocre movie, like a beginning of the year mediocre streaming movie that it it worked. It would have been better if it was like 90 minutes, but it was like almost 2 hours, and I think that was a little too long. But it was okay. I didn't mind it too much. My number 7 is Den of Thieves Pantera. Now this one, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of disappointed by this one. So I'm a pretty decent fan of the original. I think it's a really fun movie. Great cast of characters. Love Gerard Butler and the role that he's in, and O'Shea Jackson Jr. is great in that first film as well. And seeing that they were coming back for a second movie, it's been a couple years. I think even like the distributing, like company was shifted, which kind of had me a little nervous. But they finally came out with the second movie, and the marketing looked pretty good. The trailers, I saw it quite a bit, honestly, in the theater, and it's just like, again, kind of just another generic action thriller. Um, Feels a lot like a Heat ripoff. The first one definitely you could tell was inspired by Heat, and this one felt even more that way, almost like a cheap ripoff of that movie. And it was fine. The action sequences were cool, very few and far between, but they were cool. It was way too long though. It was almost 2.5 hours. Just like, I don't want to spend that much time watching a pretty generic movie, but it was a fine movie. I didn't hate the movie while watching it, but it wasn't the best that it could be. My number 6 is going to be The Damned. Now, this is a movie that came out into theaters like the very first week of the year, and I checked it out on streaming once it hit, like Fandango and at home and whatnot. And it's very reminiscent of this movie that came out last year, I believe, in theaters called Out of Darkness, and it's kind of like a period piece horror movie where there's something kind of supernatural going on, and you know this one was you know it was okay. It didn't really do a whole lot for me, honestly. um it just it was a movie. It happened, I watched it. Don't really remember a whole lot about it. It was kind of generic, pretty decent, like visual wise, it was pretty good looking, but other than that, I didn't really love it by any means. So it comes in at number 6, just kind of right there, sliding into the middle. Number 5 is probably going to be on most people's most disappointed lists of the end of the year. Probably their number 1 if I had to guess. But I have Lee Winnell's Wolfman. Now this one is one that I was very, very mixed on. Leaning more positive than negative because I did have a good time watching the movie. Mainly because the directing and the technical aspects of this film, I think, the cinematography is great. Lee Winnell did a great job of directing, and the effects are fantastic. I, love body horror movies, and this is very much, more of a body horror movie than, werewolf kind of movies. And, the transformations, it's like the transformation that the main character is going through, that is really, really sick to watch. And the main concept, of just like being isolated out in the woods and one of your family members is becoming a werewolf, that's cool. That is scary to think about, and I enjoyed that for the most part. It's just I didn't really care for the characters and the writing, honestly. The writing was very lacking where you have so many characters saying like I don't want to be like this, and like after you know so like the main character, basically his dad was like got angry really easily, and he doesn't want to be like that, but like the kid did stupid shit when he was little, so of course your dad's gonna yell at you because you did something stupid. But he doesn't want to be like him because he yelled a lot, so he when he yells at his kid, he's like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. You're the best thing on the planet." It's like, dude, shut up. She did something stupid. You have the right to yell. Good god. Like stuff like that was just so dumb. And also, like, there's a bit in it where there's something to do with a pickup truck, and they end up running past this pickup truck like 3 times in the movie. Why don't you just get in the freaking pickup truck and go? Like, they even had a bit where they started the truck and then they had to run out of the truck, and then they ran past it 3 more times. Like, why don't you just get in the truck? It's that simple. Get the hell out. But, whatever. It was good. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it like, some people did, and I didn't hate it like most people did. So, yeah, it's, pretty much right there in the middle again. Next up was a bit of a surprise hit, one that I didn't expect at all to be very good. It's called One of Them Days, and starring Kiki Palmer and SZA, the R&B artist. And this one was just a good time. Really fun comedy, really fun story, had some heart to it. And it's like one of these movies that just like it's like a funny movie that has some heart to it. We get a ton every year. It's nothing like super, super special, but I had a good time with it, so I can't not give it credit for that. So it comes in at number 4. Number 3 is a movie that I was looking forward to just because I grew up reading the book that this is based off of, reading the books, I guess, that this is based off of, and is Dogman. So when I was younger, I was a huge fan of Dave Pilkey, who made Captain Underpants and Dogman, 2 of my favorite book series when I was growing up. So when the Captain Underpants movie came out, saw it in the theater, I really really enjoyed it, and then I saw this was coming out, and I was like, oh man, that's about to bring back a lot of nostalgia. And for me, it did bring back a lot of nostalgia. But the problem with this one, for me at least, is that I think it's a little overstuffed. Where you have basically, from what I remember, there was about like 3 or 4 books worth of plot in this one movie, and it's less than 90 minutes long. That's a little much, but it was still fun. I had a really good time with it. There's a lot of heart to it. So, yeah, I think Dogman was actually, pretty good. I would get, if someone didn't like it per se, but I had a decent time with it. It was funny, it was cute, charming, heartfelt. I liked it. Number 2 is a movie that I was really, really looking forward to from this month, and I'm so glad to say that it was a huge hit for me, and it is Companion. So, this one was one that a lot of people were saying stay away from the trailers, do not watch the trailers. I only watched the initial teaser and about 30 seconds of the first trailer when it came out. I was like, yeah, I'm sold. I'm sold. Saw the poster, looked great, loved the cast, loved the director, and or actually not the director, the people behind it, the producer, the director of Barbarian, which I love that movie. And man, this was a great, great time at the theater. This one and my number 1, I would swap back and forth any day because honestly, there's a lot of stuff that I really, really enjoyed about Companion, but number 1 just kind of has like that, like feeling in me that I just had to put it at number 1. But yeah, Companion, I love the cast in this one. Super fun, really fun concept. I'm not going to say a whole lot about it just because I want you guys to go in as blind as possible because I think that's the best way it works. And if you guys, go see this, I hope you guys enjoy because it is a great, great time. And I'm not going to say a whole lot besides that. So Companion comes at number 2. But my number 1 was a movie that I was really looking forward to. It came out last year, technically, like in the UK, I believe, but it dropped on Netflix this year. So I think it was on like the third that it came out, and it is Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul. This is a movie that I've been looking forward to for so long. I love Curse of the Were Rabbit, and they've been talking about doing a second Wallace and Gromit movie for the longest time. And man, I was so happy when this finally dropped, and it was everything that I wanted from a Wallace and Gromit movie. It has the charm, it has the fun nature of it, it has a really, really fun villain. Um, I actually had a phone wallpaper for the villain for like the longest time, and I think it is like such a charming movie, so well done. The animation is insanely good. Um, Aardman just continues to impress me. One of my favorite studios working right now, and man, this was just like everything, like I said, that I wanted from a Wallace and Gromit movie. So it comes in at number one for me. So, anyways, that is it for me. Go ahead and comment down below what you guys watched in the month of January, whether it's new releases or older releases that you watched for the first time. Let me know all that stuff down below in the comments. And if you like this video and you're new here, make sure to subscribe and like the video before you're out of here. And I will see you guys next time.